Do 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 do. Bum, bum, bum. Hey everyone, how are you doing? What was the song the Who said? I'm getting in tune to the straight up and narrow. Hey, that's exactly what we do here, man. We get in tune, and nothing better way to do it. I mean, it's really cool when you think about it. Have a little story to tell about that earlier. So, and someone wrote and said, that's kind of what they do in Tibetan monks. When you go into many of their monasteries, you'll go by and get the proper frequency. And we all love this one. Someone says, I can't hear the high notes. Well, then I suggest you get your ears get tested. Isn't that a beautiful sound? Oh, yeah. A lot of Beatles songs were written on that tone, but hey, this is not. Welcome, everybody. Hello, everyone in the chat room. How are you doing? Cajun Queen Tarot. By the way, folks, Lois at 7 p.m. tonight on her channel will be doing a healing for June and others, so tune into there. Thought I'd pass that. Hey, Al, how are you doing? Eric Green, good to see. Franny, saw you last night with Brian. And Brian, you're getting really good at that, just like riding a bike. Gary Baxter, how you doing, my friend? Desert Rose, Lolly Loving, good to see you. Chaz, good to see you. Truth Seeker 61. Sun Rabbit, Sandy Scott, hello. How are you doing? Charlotte, good to see you. Kathleen Sharp, how you doing? There's a story I remember of a Kathleen Smith. I'll share that sometime. Not this time, but for another time. Girl with no Spooner, how you name? Spooner, good to see you. Okay, hello, Sylvia. Susie Q, think agape love forever. So let me just invoke favor upon us all. Favor from upon high, as I wrote in the chat room in the comments. May that favor, may it fall upon us from on high like a rain. The kind of rain that isn't a bad rain. It's that kind of rain in the summertime where you just like walking through it. And, that is a soaking rain all the way through with favor. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And again, I hear a Who song, where they were singing, love, rain on me. We could say, favor, rain on me, rain on me. Anyway, nothing missing, nothing broken in your lives. That's how we like it here. And while we're on it, let's just do our daily declaration. And I'll just say this in whatever tense it happens to hit me while I'm reading it. All these favors will come upon us, all of us, and overtake us if we give voice to them each day. Favor will be with us in the city, and favor will be with us in the country. Favor will heal our bodies when we speak favor into our bodies. I hope you do that every morning. The first thing you wake up, tell your body you love your body. I mean, listen. No matter where you are on this path, in this dimension, in this realm, that body is, well, how do I say it? It is the temple that serves the God that lives within you. Are you getting it? Favor will set apart our children, our animals, and our ground, favored with abundance and joy. Someone wrote me, he said, well, what does the ground mean? It's where you live. Think about it. Wherever your ground is, that's what we're talking about. And imagine people coming into your ground and saying, wow, I feel good here. And it never stops. Favor will be on our food, our water, our pantry. Favor will walk with us when we come in, and favor will walk with us when we go out. Favor will cause our enemies to be at peace with us. Favor will be upon our barns and storehouses where we keep our valuables, to prosper and to be in safety. And that's a good thing. Favor will be upon us in everything we undertake. Favor will be upon our hand to cause it to prosper. Think about that. Favor will cause everything we set our hand to prosper. Favor shall come upon all of our material property and shall cause it to last longer and not break. Hey, listen, nothing worse than having a surprise on something that breaks. No, 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 no. Favor shall protect us, and again, our offspring and our possessions from calamity. Favor will lead us to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause us to be the head and not the tail. Favor will cause us to always to come out on top and not beneath. Favor will cause us always to be above. Think about that. Always above, coming out on top. Favor will cause us to have favor with the elements. Favor will cause us to be favored with the spirit realm. Favor will cause us to be favorable with everyone we meet. They will see us with favor, and favor will seek it out. I think it was Rob who wrote in his comments, I hope I'm giving the person the right credit. If I'm not, let me know. He said, actually, I think was something like, favor overruns me. It pursues me. I can't outrun it. Everywhere I go, there's favor. Let me tell you what. You start living in that reality, in this temporal plane, you're going to be amongst the very few. So I hope you all put these to good use. If you don't have them, email me. I'll get them to you. Ain't no big deal. So we declare it. Favor this day. Happy birthday to everyone having one. Hope it's a good one. The heat wave in France, Europe. We send our best wishes. We send our cool favor to you. It's warm here too, and but I think someone said it was 109 in France. Saying hello to all those who are feeling oppressed and depressed. You know, I banish that energy off of you, and you don't have to put up with it, sweetheart. You don't. You're more powerful than that. Remember, the body, your body, is a temple. Now, in many different religions and ideologies and theologies and eschatologies, you have that same expression expressed in a variable different ways, but it all comes back to the same. And so if you take this and you dissect it out, right? Think about it. Your body can only house a God. That's you. No one else is there. Now, it can be shared, and, things, they are what they are, but the essence of these bodies are amazing. You're welcome, Al. Always have a smile, never fails. That's it. So think about this. So many people dislike their bodies. And I think they've just been taught wrong. Your body has been made specifically for you, sweetheart. You. That's a temple. Temples are erected, made for deities to dwell in. Think about it. Where the heck did that come from? Well, listen, seriously. We see it here. Sometimes people are searching, and if you're here and you're searching amongst this group, you're in a good place. Good people here. Every one of them here. No doubt about it. So tonight on the Steiger Perspective on theartistfirst.com, I'm going to be talking about where did all of these clowns come from, and how do we get rid of them? There was back in my days of expanding my consciousness, and I do mean that literally, there was a comedy troupe called Firesign Theater. You really, if you've never heard of them, Franny, if you've never heard of these guys, go listen. All the rest of you, you're going to love it. Yeah. And if you want to get in an altered state of consciousness, that's cool too. But check them out. And anyway, they had one of the expressions they said, we're all bozos on this bus. So go and check it out. Weird things have been, not weird things, I would say maybe the greater of awareness of things. We have heard from time to time in our house, and specifically out in the garage where we hang what I'm going to be talking about, we have been hearing a tone. And I'll just, first of all, I'll let you know what we're hearing. So just allow me to get this so you can see what we're having to hear. All right, ready for this? Just one, it would just go. Sometimes we can hear it at night. Sometimes it during the day. And what this is actually, this is a sigil. This is a prosperity sigil. Charlie made this for me. His wife, Terry, she did the crocheting. And this is what we've been hearing. And I've been searching all over, like, well, where in the world is this coming from? And, well, so who knows? I did a session in my Magic Circle. Hey, Brian, Magic Way Messenger, good to see you. Loving, what is that? Lolly Loving, good to see you. And Allison, a lot of people. So like I say, a lot of people coming in. So check this out. I wanted to finish up the article Trina and I were talking. By the way, Trina will be on next Tuesday, and you really want to tune in. I'm just telling you right now. We're going to get into a prophecy that she received. Anyway, I'll let her tell the story. You definitely want to come. So I want to finish out the thought that we were dealing with on fractal consciousness. I had fitful sleep last night because I was thinking on this. So I want to finish this whole idea about what consciousness is, where consciousness dwells, where do your thoughts come from? And if we are, in fact, conscious beings, there has to be a place that emanates from. It just doesn't just, materialize out of the ether. And then, so this is a real quick finishing paragraph. So as you saw yesterday, we were talking about how all fractals are basically representatives of their originals. A tree has leaves, the leaves has the veins of a tree. The same thing for us. And your consciousness is really made up of mirror images of that God dwelling in this temple. Okay, let's continue. All of this understanding ultimately allows us to answer conclusively the question concerning the nature of consciousness and show that the reason why contemporary philosophers and neuroscientists haven't been able to find the answer to the problem of consciousness is that they've been asking the wrong question all along. I think in many cases we're finding that is the case. For the working assumption has been materialism or the ontology position in philosopher that exist is physical and consists of matter. And that therefore consciousness reduces to the physical brain and the material universe. The truth is that it doesn't. It's the other way around. You have to see this, that when you look at this from what we now know, and that is that the ontological position in philosophy called idealism, or the idea that existence is really consciousness, that is the truth. What the fractal brain architecture and the reducing of cosmic structure to this same fractal conception allows us to do is to reduce all existence to a single consciousness. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Now, this gets weird because if you think about it, all of us then are merely impressions of original consciousness, that single consciousness. It says this approach works together with the idea that the physical universe is illusionary. And that is what is behind the illusion is mathematical or Platonic existence. So, for example, the universe can thought to exist in the same way that the mathematical fractal object called the Mandelbrot set exists, i.e., in Platonic and transcendental. But what is actually manifest and real is subjective experience or consciousness of being in an illusory physical universe, because the universe is a fractal structure that is the same nature as the brain and are continuous with each other. Then the consciousness of our brains can be reasonably supposed to be of the same nature as the consciousness that would correspond to equivalent structures of the universe at various scales: planetary, galactic, cosmic, body. Undivided and individual consciousness passes through all these equivalent fractal structures in a single chain of transmigration, thereby living out all experiences of the lives of all the living entities existing within the universe from its beginning to end. One subjective experience at a time, one day at a time, one life at a time. And that this singular, all-encompassing consciousness may be called God. So the fractal brain idea takes us to the truly stunning revelation that the mystery of consciousness and the mystery of God are one and the same. That is the idea that everyone is God. The common belief that is found in all esoteric tradition of all the world major religions: Gnosticism and Christianity, Kabbalah and Judaism, Sufism and Islam, Tantara and Hinduism. In the theory of the brain that is to come is the key not just to artificial intelligence and the technological singularity, but also the means by which science will reconcile with spirituality and the true religion will be resurrected. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what the true religion is. I kind of don't like religion. Anyway, the revelation of this theory, and it's a theory, beginning in the process, this guy gives a date on this. So anyway, the fractal brain. Give me a second. Here we go. So this is kind of cool. I mean, you think about it. I meditated on it all night. None of us can answer where our thoughts come from. I mean, if you got the answer, please let us know. And we can't define where the soul or the spirit resides. We give a vague, generality. Everyone has their own opinion, their own idea, and that's really what it is. But what's more important is this, is that your brain is the same as mine in structure. It's the same with everyone that you meet. Now, every one of our brains are experiencing the sensation of consciousness in their own individuality sphere. It's the only way it can be. Which means that we're just merely fractals. We're all fractals of a greater singularity of consciousness. Take that where you want. But yeah. So I did a session today in my magic circle, and I thought that what I might do is share with you before we get into some more cool teaching. By the way, if you do, I hope you have your book. This is mine. I record what every session is, what I experienced, what I learned, if anything, and I experiment all the time. So today we're talking about what we started the other day on circles, magic circles. And now we're going to incorporate the second most, well, I don't know, maybe they're equal, maybe they're twins, maybe they're symbiotic to one another, sigils. And I'm going to show you some of my artwork that I did out in my garage where I actually do this. We're going to be doing our sheet this weekend, and I'm looking forward to that. I've been spending a lot of time, and we're going to get into this right after this in the books. So without anything, so this is what I put together this morning. I drew these out individually. And your circle doesn't have to be a 360-degree circumference. I mean, come on, it's the intent. You can see how I've set the directions so I know where the 4 cardinal points are in the subset. And, you experiment, you look for different ways. For myself, I record all this, and I like how you can begin to energize your own crystals, your own rocks. It could be anything. It can be gold. It could be silver. I do enjoy the sigils. I spend time studying them. And each one of these represent a specific sigil of energy. That's actually me. That's Steiger. Yeah. We'll go through each one of these but you should be doing this yourself. Someone wrote me and he said, finally, someone who actually walks the talk. Well, yeah. And you should be far enough to begin to really get into what it is that you want to specifically plug into. As you can see, these, and once you get into it really, I don't know, the time just seems to, I don't know, doesn't exist. But as you can see, again, I take time in each one of the sigils that I am going to be charging in my circle. And it changes each time. And here I just kind of meditated, and I had the crystals, I have my stones, and I just kind of allowed the elements to kind of speak. There it is, kind of fully charged in the center. We'll talk about that sigil. Again, you ladies who crochet and what have you. This is Catherine's sigil, magic circle. I love this. She wrote that, and I can only imagine that she sat underneath her pyramid and got charged. Look at, I love this. Much of the same as my approach, but again, each with individual style, each circle, and you can tell she spent a great deal of time in laying this out. And this is what energizes these circles. When you're literally on your knees and it's just the way it is. You know, you're going to draw them out. Now, I like the idea of having, you know, the sheet itself, but then again, the sheet would be then in somewhat permanent if you were to draw your sigils out. I have a thought on that, how I can interchange them. But again, I love her work. I love the creativity. Catherine, way to go. Far out. That's all I can say, folks. And this is what we're talking about. It's not that difficult. And I want to get the right person. I think it's Blazing River who did this one, or Gary Baxter, one of the two guys. This is the Favor Flavor Sigil. I mean, I want to get this on a freaking t-shirt. I'm serious. This is, and a hoodie. This is so cool. I mean, does this not get you charged up? Like, yeah. Now, we had another person in our community, and she took, you know, when I invoke favor all the time, and, you know, invoking favor over your life and in your life. And this was the sigil that she produced out of this. And what was really interesting is she said both phrases came out the same. Again, this could be made as an amulet, a talisman. I think it's very cool. Consciously aware, Joshua, who is cleaning the house and is moving to the south. This is happy family, happy home. This is one that I drew. This is, as you can see, new house. If, you know, you're looking, this is how it's done. And we're going to get into why you should be able to do this. This is walk in wealth. And you can make these in any shape. It really, it's there for you to decide. But the point is that, excuse me, that as you can see, when you walk this stuff, when you actually perform it, it becomes really, it's an interesting experience. You know, for myself, I can tell you it's probably some of the most quiet time. And today there was a charge, you know, as you begin to draw each one of those sigils out, there is intent being put in them. And then when you actually charge your circle with you being in the center of it, it becomes basically like spotlights, boom, boom, boom. And these are signals that are in fact received. Listen, it's no different than prayer. I prayed for decades to an unseen God that I thought I knew. And, you know, so did all the prayers come true? No, in fact, very few. But then again, you think, all right, so, you know, what are you doing? Well, you're communicating. You're communicating with something. It's how it's done. When you allow the spirit realm to talk to you, think about it. They don't have a voice box, a larynx. They don't have lungs that are compressing air. And in the spirit realm, it is thought. That's how it's communicated. It's how it's felt. And I have found that this is a way that begins to get me accustomed to that. And when you quiet your mind, they will talk. It's true. What is the search? This search, by the way, is about breaking curses. And this is the other thing about learning to be comfortable in your own self, your own magic, is that it breaks curses. One of those sigils that I put there was, in fact, exactly the sigil to break all negative energy, magic, any hexes, anything that has been attempted upon me. And woe unto the person that does now. They'll find misfortune in their lives. And again, we're all immersed into the spiritual realm. We are multidimensional beings because we have the ability to coexist in what we call this physical form, in this physical reality. But don't kid yourself, kids. We are also existing in the spiritual realm. And if you doubt me, then I question, then what's inside of you? What, you don't have a soul? You don't have a spirit? Okay. That's here too. But I happen to think that many of us do. And so this is why you should have your diary and write down what you're experiencing. I have a video catalog that, so I can look back and say, all right, this is what my goal was in this. This is either what has or has not happened. And, you don't have to rely on simple memory. I'm going to read in some of these comments here. So anyway, now, there were some other questions about sigils and circles themselves. And so I've pulled up one book particularly. This is Sigil, Ciphers, and Scripts. I want to talk about symbolism, because symbolism is important, because actually our whole language is symbolism. The way we communicate is with symbols. So the person, the author, and I'll get her name here, the mystery language of magic is symbolism. It is a language we all recognize, but few of us are fluent in. The majority of symbols that exist today were created long ago. They represent the movements of earth and heaven, the four seasons, and representations of cosmic and earthly deities. Over time, they have acquired layers of increasingly complex meaning. And I'll just tell you, I like the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not to say that some of these more elaborate rituals do not have purpose and place. But for myself, that's not my road. That's just not my energy. I believe in myself more than I do other people's magic. I believe in my own more than anyone else's. By understanding the basic signs that make up the more complex symbols, we find that they are based on common symbolic alphabet, composites created from smaller symbols. These basic signs and categorized as open or closed. By the way, all your sigils, did you see how my lines were? How some were closed, some were open. Did you get that? Some are open, some are closed. And when you begin to understand that, if you've made sigils in the past and you didn't close them or open them, then now you know. These basic signs, straight or curved, crossing and non-crossing. They cannot be open or closed. He grabs the signs at the same time. Basic signs. All symbols are formed from 7 basic shapes, which are variations of the dot and line or egg and sperm. The dot, line, and circle are the most elementary of these. They are the parents from which all others have evolved. The dot or point signifies unity, the origin, source, or beginning. The circle is the dot expanded to infinity, symbolizing the universe, eternity, unity, eternal motion, the abyss, and nothing. The line, drawn with a single stroke, can be straight, wavy, or zigzag. The vertical line is the active dynamic principle, the body erect. The horizontal line represents the passive static principle, the body supine. The oblique line is all halfway between the vertical and horizontal. A wavy line and a zigzag are not the same. A wavy line is fluid and passive. The zigzag is sharp, jagged, and abrupt. An arc is a dissected circle and forms the basis of all lunar symbols. Did you see in my magic circle, I included every one of these. It represents the feminine, passive, receptive principle, symbolic of the womb and the cup or chalice. Open signs. There are a select few open signs that retain their original esoteric meaning across all human cultures of prehistory. The most revered of these is called the Sign of Signs, better known as the cross. You see, let me just say something to you. I wrote this in my note. I got this. The reason why many of these religions, the world religions, stay charged is that because every day people are charging the sigil that they have adapted. So I also say that the internet, when you think you've got 6 billion constantly charging you, that's for another time. Let's go on. In its upright form, it represents protection, honor, balance, structure, sacredness, unification, choice, and the points of the compass. In its diagonal form, it represents protection in the 4 seasons. Both forms of the cross can be expanded to render the swastika. Superimposed over one another, they form the 8-rayed star, the archaic symbol of God, heaven, and king. The arrow is an expression of movement and direction, pointing the way, and is used to symbolize life and death. When 2 forks signs are combined, they create symbols that attack and repel each other. The spiral is a single curved, non-crossing, open line that is radically symmetrical. Its primary function is to describe the origin of the universe by following the path of the sun. It symbolizes expansion, contraction, creativity, the feminine, a journey. Closed signs. Closed signs refer to the geometric shapes, a circle, square, triangle, star, to distinguish them from open signs such as the cross, arrow, spiral. Hermetic magic employs geometric shapes as functional magic paired with ritual magic and is used in the creation of pendants, amulets, talisman, pinnacles, mandalas, cosmograms, and other schema. A closed sign, the circle expands outward to represent beginning, potential, motion, cosmos, eternity, and protection. A circle within a circle indicates divinity, power, charisma, the emanation of spiral power, and the halo. Do you understand now? Folks, I don't mislead you. I do this. I employ it in my life. I wouldn't be doing this simply for the fact of wasting my breath. There is a small number of us. This kind of subject doesn't get a lot of, how should we say, attraction. But those of us who find it, on the other side, we will be the superiors. I'm just telling you. The triangle represents creation, manifestation, and illumination. It takes 2 basic forms, the upright or active, which equates to the element of fire, active and masculine, and the downward feminine or passive, which equates to the element of water. The alignment of the active and passive triangle produces the closed sign called a Langer. The square is passive and represents the male order. It symbolizes the earth, land, field, ground, foundation, security, structure, the 4 points of the compass, and the 4 seasons. When rotated through 90 degrees, it forms the active diamond shape. A square within a square means keep, retain, or close in. Star shapes are also closed signs. The pentagram, or 5-figure star, has 2 forms. With the single point up, it is a symbol of the planet Venus, representing female sexuality. The inverted pentaangle becomes a symbol of the phallic power. It reveals an image of a goat's head, which is associated with the devil. The hexagram, or 6-pointed star, is composed of 2 equilateral triangles, symbolizing balance between man and God. The heptagram, or 7-pointed star, is called the Elven or fairy star by pagans. It is also used to symbolize the 7 days of creation and the days of the week. As a sign of protection, it is the inspiration for the sheriff's badge. So now you know why that shield. Folks, this is all around us. How do you think a cop can stand on the corner of Lexington and 5th and hold his freaking hand up and stop hundreds of tons of moving motion metal? Because you and I have been taught, and by the way, you violate it, doesn't matter whether you believe it or not, you violate that shield, and your ass will find out real quick how powerful sigils have consequences. We all know it. You don't do it. So apply the same principle that you're already invoking. Do it for yourself. Compound and complex signs. Compound signs are always composed of 2 or more basic signs. By welding together basic open and closed signs, more complex symbols can be developed. When 2 signs are combined, i.e. the circle and the cross, a wide field of symbolic expression is opened up to the mind. This is how signs become a language, through juxtaposition and combination. The letters of the alphabet can be classified as a compound signs. L is a single line. F has 2 lines. E has 2 lines. The letter B has a straight line and 2 curved lines. It's right there, folks. We use it every day. But this is what some people consider to be heresy. But yet, they are so immersed into it. Complex signs are made up of multitude of open and closed signs that produce such a complex, opaque expression that it is no longer a sign but schema, an underlying organizational pattern or structure, a conceptual framework with thousands of possibilities. The formation of new signs on a grid pattern consists of removing some elements so that only those remaining are made visible and recognizable. The rest remain invisible. The letter of some alphabets are said to have been created on schema. And this is where I'll let down this one because we have yet more to cover. So everything, everything that you write, everything, whether it's cursive. Now, cursive takes on a whole different meaning, but yet the reason why cursive is unique amongst languages is that it is exactly what it does. It strings many of these elements out and you never realize it. I mean, I'm not making this up. And so if we go back and you view, in fact, we will, I just want to give me a second here so you can see. Okay, there we go. As he goes, y'all just talk amongst yourself. So as you can see in these sigils, look what I employed. Closed end, open end. You should become versed with this. Open end, closed end. Are you starting to understand? Open end, closed end, perfect example. The name Steiger, this is what it produces. Each one of these, and we'll discuss, again, same principles here. And I hope that you can begin to learn they can be as complex as this one. I believe this one is the banishing. You can see each end is sealed, closed, with an open, and then you can see the circle. And it's powerful, folks. Again, this one using nothing more than straight lines. This one is a combination of both half moon, half eclipse, to the two straight lines, to what we would consider the open multiple curve line. Here's using the half moon, which is connected to a smaller universe within, yet on top of a larger one, and then expands out again into the cross, and then has again. So as you learn to adapt to these, it makes, for me, a very enjoyable experience. I had initially put one, and boy, I just got this point. And so again, you listen to yourself. So I don't know if this is helpful to you, but I know this, it works, folks. It does. And all I'm doing is trying to show by example. And I think that that's important, that if you're going to listen, be a part of this community, I think that you want the guy that's driving the bus to make sure he's got his license. Oh, crap, man, the guy might have some insurance too, huh? It's quite interesting. Now, I use a number of books that I happen to find. Many of you have these. We will continue to study from the Practical Sigil Magic book. One of my favorites, Sigil Witchery. This book is available on PDF. This is the one that I love using as my go-to reference. This is a very, I can't find it in PDF. I mean, it may be, but this is a powerful little book. In it, it will teach you some of the basics of, let's see, for instance, you can find sigils, as we were just talking about. That sigil there, by the way, is to promote confidence. And there's nothing wrong in using the same techniques. You're going to end up, you can recreate them and add them, your own creativity to it. But these are very cool. Some very basic ones that you can see. And I love this one. It's kind of like my Boy Scout manual. I'll sit and I'll just meditate. And what I'll do is that I'll just stare at it and just close my eyes, and I'll get the shape in there, and I begin to focus in on it. And, you know, let's see if I can give you what this one is. Yeah, this one is prosperity. This one over here is for banishing negativity. Now, I'll explain something. Sometimes negative energy will stimulate creativity. It's true. So it has a whole section for tarot reading. If you want to, if you are a tarot reader, this is a sigil that will bring forth the spirits that will help intensify yours. This is a great book. Like I said, it's my go-to reference. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's powerful. And, you know, it's how we all learned. We learned because someone put in front of us, this is the letter A. Well, now we know what the letter A really is. It's sigil, symbolism. I mean, this goes back, way back. And every language has that, but that's how we learned, and we began to comprehend vowels, you know, consonants. And so I tell you that you should, you know, you can get the book. I don't think it's that much. And there, I'm sure in this group, someone will find the PDF. And when they do, I'll make it available. It's quite empowering. Now, Queen of Quartz, Karen, I use a lot of her crystals. There were others who have sent me crystals as well. As you've seen that, I charge those. And I always have now understood why I keep them in the middle of the two. That's a charging zone. That's where those sigils are, folks. There is, and I know you can't see it, but literally what's happening is that there is a mighty empowerment, whatever you want to call it. It's a charging. And those sigils that I produced in my session this morning, I've banished them already. That's why they work. You know, now I can still use it as a teaching aid, but still my consciousness is not going to be focused in on it. As far as I'm concerned, that was for that particular session, and there was an intent and purpose for each one of those sigils. And, you know, within the other ones, I'll tell you what those other sigils were. One was for spiritual wisdom, to be empowered with spiritual insight. Yeah, personally, I think that that to me is treasure. Gold and silver, you ain't taking it with you, baby. And it's a pain in the ass in this realm. I get it. Everyone likes to have it. But no, I would rather have in my bank, in my safety deposit box, that thing called wisdom, spiritual knowledge, insights to the spirit realm in my account. You know, again, I keep saying we're going to get on the other side. All right. I hope this has been good. I'm going to wrap it up a little bit early. Tune in tonight. This one will be fun. I'm going to be talking about the clowns. Clowns are everywhere. There was a movie back in, I don't know, I think it was the 70s, you know, The Invasion of the Clowns. It was about E.T., and E.T. was a clown. There were clowns everywhere. So, you know, it'll be a fun one. And so, folks, I hope this has been educational. I show you the material. You make your decision. I encourage you to start practicing. There's no better time than now. If you're being oppressed, if you're being depressed, it's spiritual, baby. I'm just telling you. Now, it might be chemical as well, but chemical and spiritual go hand in hand. And if you want to start, you don't want to go over to the next realm and they know that you're a weak-minded individual. You're going to get your butt kicked over there unless someone takes mercy upon you and takes you underneath their wings. There's no assurance of that. So you've got to start becoming adjusted and used to your own power. And if you don't use it, somebody else will. It's just the way it is. All right, folks. Thank you all. See you tomorrow at the same time. We're going to continue on this. We're going to get back into Frater's book. I've got to get you up to date on how to begin to seal all this and put this all together. We're never probably going to ever stop studying it, but I hope to see letters and emails from you, that many of you are practicing this and you're starting to become stronger. If you will take that favor declaration inside that circle, it sends forth something that cannot be denied. I'll just put it that way to you. It cannot be denied. I encountered two spirits in my session today. I'll just tell you, it was pointed out to me that they were holding something back. They had no power, no right to it. I called them. I sought forth their names. I got their names. And I banished them. And this is what I put out. Any spirit that tries the same stunt will receive 100-fold backflow into their color, their energy. You know, it's kind of like you're not about to piss on an electrified fence, are you? If you do, you're an idiot. All right, folks. I will see you later. Practice your own magic. You know, get used to it. Remember, this body is a temple. A temple can only be housed and built for a God. That'd be you. All right. Love, light, and favor. I love that. Thank you, Infinite Frequencies. All right, folks. Much love to you. I'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.